I was 10 years, that was one of my biggest questions.
Sure.
And he said, you chose your parents from heaven. You were with God when you chose your parents. And there's a lesson that's coming along for thy destiny, and you will understand. You know, they speak thee and thy up there, and it's a different kind of whole world when you come. I mean, it's beautiful. I can't explain it. It's just, but I did hear in the background, I hear a lot of screaming and yelling, and
in heaven?
And have something in the background, and my great-grandmother tells me, that's not for you to worry about. That's a different world.
Wow.
Maybe they were screaming in your because you had passed.
No,
it wasn't. It was
I
people.
realized later on when I spoke to somebody, they told me you were listening to hell.
I was going to say that.
Yeah, that's what I
You're listening to hell.
How come you can hear?
Yeah, how come you can? Yes.
Well,
hear that?
they
have to
where they had
listen to the
taken
rap
me
station.
because I refused to go back where they had taken me, and I'm turning around and I'm listening. It's not for you to hear or see, you know. And then I realized when they told me that was hell.
Did the angels speak to you? I mean, how did they speak to you? If they did, was it telepathically or?
Telepathically.
So you already knew what they want you to do.
Yes.
Well, that's the way all communication happens over there, telepathically.
Telepathically. If you basically when they're pulling you back to go to your body and you're re-entering your body and your head body,
it's very painful.
Well, because it was racked in pneumonia and all the things of pneumonia, and being a 10-year-old child going back into the body, I'm sure there was a lot of confusion.
Did you get thrown back?
Were you cured?
When I came back, I had no fever. The pneumonia didn't exist. I woke up, I was starving. They took off, back then we had the oxygen tanks over, you know, the oxygen over here. They took it off and the doctor's just standing there.
Wow.
And he's saying, I said, I'm hungry.
This
and
is
I
a
said,
miracle.
I'm going to my grandmother, what are you crying? And I says, great-grandmother told me to, so I had to speak to her in Polish. And I told her the message, and she said she almost passed out on the floor. Because her and her mother only knew this.
Good thing you had a doctor there.
Yeah, thank God.
Yeah, I bet he took the credit for you coming back, too, right?
Okay. No, I told him, I was 10 years old. I said, it had nothing to do with you, it has to do with God.
Wow.
Because he was meant to be a shoemaker.
That's right. He's only the instrument.
Christine, you do a lot of interviews on your show.
Yes.
Of these kind of things, near death and stuff like that. And he also always seem to have a basic theme to them. You know, they go to the other side, sometimes they get to stay. Sometimes the bodies they're coming back to are so ravaged with disease and sickness that they don't come back, they opt not to come back.
Right.
And we here on this plane, you know, we take it bad. Like it happened to my brother when he passed away. But we come back to a body that was basically, unless God fixed it, was unfixable.
Right.
Too many things wrong.
Right.
So he opted to stay there. But when you hear these stories and stuff like that, I mean, how did it affect you growing up, obviously Catholic, right?
Yes.
Okay. And they kind of skirt around these things.
Well, yeah, first of all, growing up, I always felt that I wasn't being given enough information. I always knew, as a child, I would say, there's more than meets the eye. There's more than what they're telling us. The Catholic Church isn't telling us everything that we should know. They're not admitting to everything. I have to go out and find out what all this stuff is, and that's why I do what I do today.
Okay. Any particular near-death experience that sticks out in your mind?
Well, I wouldn't say unfortunately, but I guess fortunately in a way. I'd never had a near-death experience of my own.
Right.
And if I ever do, I'll let you know about it.
Well, I did.
You did? Well, tell us about yours.
Well, it was the week that my brother passed away, 7 days to the day. I stopped off in Brooklyn to get a sandwich, and something told me to eat inside the restaurant. I ate inside the restaurant, and right before I took a bite of my panini, I had to have a panini.
Okay.
All right. I exhaled all my air. I expelled it out. And I took a bite, and it got lodged in my throat.
Oh, boy.
Now, you know, people say you see your life going before you. I didn't see my life going before me. I did see this. Please, God, don't let me die in a blimpie. Okay? I said, please, God, don't let me die like, what's her name, the mama and the papa lady there.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Mama Cass Elliott. Don't let me die like that on a ham sandwich.
Right.
You know, these things are running through my mind. That I wouldn't see my daughter's wedding. I wouldn't see my grandson being born.
Right.
And I wouldn't return to my family. And I definitely did not want to die in a blimpie. You know, so, boy, thank God, once I blacked out, they popped it out, and I came to, and I was all right.
Oh, that's good.
Well, it was all right. I didn't have a near-death experience, And if that's what the one I was going to have,
I had a similar
boy.
experience to that. It wasn't near death, but it was similar because I had gotten a pill lodged in my throat, and I was at a party, and I took it was a vinegar, the apple cider vinegar tablet I used to take after. Stopped taking them after that, but it got lodged in my throat, and I was even, I had the friend was sitting at the table there, and she's eating, and I went and I started tapping her on the shoulder, like, help me, I can't talk, I can't breathe, and she's like, what's the matter with you? And I'm like, no. So
Charades.
she never got it.
Charades, I'm dying.
She never got it. If I only had to depend on her, I would have been dead. Luckily, somebody from across the room and he came over and gave me the Heimlich maneuver. And it went down, and I started breathing again. But somehow something was telling me, you're not going to die now, don't worry about it, something's going to come, don't worry. But meanwhile, I'm practically banging on her shoulder at this point. She's still not getting it. Anyway, though, but somebody did notice from across the room, ran over, and my other friend that was giving the party said, I saw him running towards you. I didn't know what was going on.
Well, thank God he was there.
Thank God. You know what?
What did you say to that lady when you came out of that?
What?
What did you say to that lady when you came out of it? I would have clocked her.
I said, my sister, I said, didn't you understand when I was going like this, I was having problems? And she's, no.
She kept on going 2 words. How many syllables?
Well, they say that's the worst time to die, during charades.
Nobody's gonna know.
Take it seriously.
Well, let me just explain while I have the opportunity now. If you do get something caught in your throat and you're by yourself, the best thing to do is to throw yourself on the back of a chair or onto the chair so that you would hit your diaphragm and it would dislodge. So if you're ever alone and you do get something caught in your throat, throw yourself over the side of a chair or the side of a couch or something that's going to hit you real hard over here. Because if you don't have somebody else around to do it, you can do it yourself, and that might save a life, I hope.
But
now, I wanted to talk about out-of-body experiences, too, because that's another...
That was the last subject on my last show with George Casaza. And he does a workshop to teach you how to do out-of-body experiences.
Has anyone ever had one here?
I did.
I'm sure we have, but don't remember a lot.
A lot of people remember, though. I know.
When I had mine,
I don't remember. I don't have one, but
I came out in the middle of the night, and I shot up. I felt like a moonshot, blasted right up. I was flying so fast I couldn't hardly breathe, and I knew I had the silver cord to me. And all of a sudden, I was like praying, you know, this gotta stop, and then I boom right back into my body.
Because you can't tell if you're dead or not, right?
Well, I didn't know about being dead or not, but that scared the hell out of me.
Yes, you can.
He said you can't tell.
Because when I had mine, I was laying on my father-in-law's couch, and I looked up. I could feel myself floating, and I saw 12, like the 12 elders looking down on me.
That must be the 12 people I was talking about before.
12 elders.
It's a council of something. I forget the name of it.
And when I was going up,
yeah.
I was about...
Council of Elders. Not
back
elders,
then I was about maybe 28 or 29. I'd say. I was about 28, 29 when it happened to me.
But probably because you had that experience.
And these men, I'm looking up, and I'm saying to myself, oh my, who are these men? They've got the long beards, and one of them looked like Moses, one of them looked like Abraham, one of them looked like Ezekiel.
Maybe they were.
And I'm looking at them, but you could tell that it was good. I wasn't afraid. And I'm going higher and higher and higher. And I guess I got so scared the closer I was coming to them, I jumped. I went right back in, and I jumped.
Teresa, being Catholic, when you have, I remember as a child, growing up Catholic, that if you spoke of these things, you're kind of like disenfranchised. You know, they kind of looked at you. That's devil work. You know, right? Everything was devil work. I mean, if you believed all of that, you know, the devil had more rights than you do.
Can I tell you now with the church, it's changed tremendously. We're very charismatic people now. It's a new enlightenment in the church. People are now healing people to have healing in the church. It's
healing
a different,
masses?
Yes, healing masses. It's very, very different. We have bishops, we have archbishops, we have priests from Rome that are all in these groups now. It's like an enlightenment, awareness. We are coming now to enlightenment of awareness.
We're going into the age of Aquarius.
Yeah, it's the age of awareness.
Yeah, it's an age of awareness, not Aquarius. They don't believe in that. It's an age of awareness, and it's an enlightenment. what we're having now with the church, and it's been going on since Pope John Paul had entered the church.
Great.
Yeah. He's changed
he
everything
changed
around.
He changed the church a lot, and this new guy I really like.
Pope.
Yeah, he's nice. He's
Pope
good.
Francis, he's wonderful.
He's humble, and you know what I mean. I didn't get that same feeling with the Pope that resigned, but this Pope I do. This Pope I see him as hope for the Catholic Church.
But tell me something about, like, I'm raised Catholic also, and they're against, you know, psychics and all that, but what is the difference between a visionary and a psychic?
Good question.
Well, a visionary is chosen by God. The Blessed Mother chooses her visionaries. And sometimes, like Medjugorje, we had Ivan in Blessed Sacrament, April 28th. And you could feel, we took a picture, my husband and I, and you saw the Blessed Mother in the background holding the baby in Mount Carmel.
Wow.
And her, matter of fact, her feast day was July 16th.
Claudia had posted a picture.
And we were at St. Adalbert's for Father Eugene. We go every year, my husband and I. And it's a wonderful procession and a wonderful experience we have. And they bring relics from Rome that some people even got cured in his church.
What I was telling you is Claudia had put up a picture on, was it Facebook?
I don't remember.
She put up a picture of on the church.
Oh, this was this week. Well, my husband and I went to Quebec City, and in the center there was Notre Dame, I don't remember the name of the church, Notre Dame Church. And in the corner, on two pictures, the one that I posted, there's like a pinkish purple energy, and on top where I thought it was the clouds, when I took a better look, I noticed that there was a figure of, it looked like a nun, the side of a nun with her outfit. And it was like, it looked like it was right at the top of the church, and on another picture in the same corner there was an orb. Apparently that was the center of the town where they used to do a lot of hangings. And there was like, back in the 1700s, 1800s, they would gather everyone there right in front of the church and behead people or hang them. And so it's only normal that we're going to capture things like that. Yeah.
Did you feel like negative energy there?
You felt energy. Not all good, but you do feel the presence is very strong in Quebec City. It's very old. Yeah.
And why were they hanging people in?
Well, in the center of any town back in those days.
I know, but I mean, these people supposedly committed crimes.
Yes, of course. Yes, of course. Yeah.
Being when you were a little girl, all right, not many people know your story as far as how you came about the healing and your interactions with the Blessed Mother and with Saint Raphael, and just give us a little synopsis of when it started and up until the current day.
Well, I was always a little different since birth. People always look at me different, but it's apparently everyone at age 10 sees something. Like that's when I saw the Blessed Mother was age 10, but age 10 seems to be the age for some reason where
she chose you.
Yes, I saw her.
She chooses people, and I could tell by looking at you, she is there with you.
Yeah, and she's been on the stage earlier. I don't know if she's now, but at age 10 is when I saw her. And again, with you know, when you speak to someone from the Catholic religion, what had happened to me was I saw her at the foot of the bed. She was just looking at me. And then another night I had an out-of-body experience where I was actually awake, because we have these out-of-body experiences which we call astral traveling. Everybody does it. But when you're awake, it sort of scares you. So I ended up to the top of the ceiling, and when I noticed I'm floating nicely, I got scared and I jumped right back in. So I went to see the priest of the school. And the first thing he said to me, were you taking drugs?
Oh, no.
This was a Catholic priest. And that turned me off so badly. I said, what kind of a priest would say that to a 10-year-old? If I come to you for counsel and for guidance and to tell me how do I explain these experiences, and then you say something like that. So it took me a long time to get confidence back in the priests.
Because he didn't have the answers to tell you anyway.
He didn't know, no.
You know, they do that. They do that when.
That's everywhere, though. You know. Every profession, every religion.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah, they really don't.
Now, it's good and bad wherever you go.
Some of the priests don't know, but now there's a
totally
opening mind of awareness of priests today.
Definitely.
They realize people are experiencing this. They're seeing this.
They can't deny it anymore.
No.
That's the thing. A few times, you know, if something happens once in a while, You could kind of like sweep it under the carpet,
But in the old days, it was very hard.
It was very difficult.
They were very ignorant, and even in grade school, I came to Canada. I didn't speak a word of English or French or anything. I spoke Italian, Luxembourgeois, German, because I lived in Luxembourg for 7 years my whole life.
Beautiful place. A
yeah.
friend of mine comes from there.
But I came here, and first, I don't speak the language. Second, I'm a little different. And when it took me 6 months to be able to speak to the other classmates, I would talk to them about these things. And so they would say to me, you're very strange. And then I would say to them, but don't worry, when you're a grown-up, you'll understand. You won't understand me now, but when you're a grown-up, you'll remember my words, hopefully, and you'll understand exactly